Financial abundance versus financial security. How many of y'all know the difference between these two terms? I'm sure most of you don't, which is precisely why I am making this video. When you think of financial freedom, I'm sure most of you would automatically think of financial abundance, more so the outcomes of financial abundance, which is essentially the spending power to buy whatever you like whenever you wish, whether that be cars, property, jewelry, handbags, you name it. I'm not here to condemn financial abundance as a whole today, but rather liberate you from the idea that financial abundance is the same as financial security, because in fact they are not. Financial abundance and financial security both fall under the big umbrella of financial freedom. Think of it as this hierarchy of needs. The bottom two tiers are the most basic tiers. So the bottom two tiers are most closely associated with financial security, meaning having the finances to meet your daily expenses like food, shelter, clothing, etc., right? But at the same time, you don't have excess money to spend on your whims and fancies, but at the same time you have sufficient money whereby you don't have to worry when your next meal is going to be and are you going to be able to afford your next meal. So moving up this ladder of needs, this hierarchy of needs, the top three layers are most closely associated with financial abundance, with the middle tier being the transition stage between financial security and financial abundance, also known as the accumulation of wealth. It's quite self-explanatory. The topmost tiers are what most people would wish to fulfill once they've fulfilled their basic financial needs. So why am I telling you all this? I want to bring you this idea that financial abundance might not be all sunshine and glitters. Financial security might in fact be the safer option. I'm sure most of you know that. But why do I say that financial abundance is not sustainable in the long run? I'm sure when most of us were young, or those who are young right now, hustle culture seems very appealing to you because this simplistic idea of putting in the work now and reaping the rewards 5 to 10 years down the road seem very attractive. Because when we're young, I think our utmost priority is to secure a bright future for ourselves and our families and our kids if we wish to have kids. And so this idea that we need to start working now so that we can give our kids the future we want them to have is something we feed into very often. Not saying that it's wrong, not condemning the pursuit of excellence. In fact, I think hustle culture cultivates good work ethic, but there are extremes. Naturally, when something becomes your North Star, when something becomes your utmost priority, you start focusing all your time and energy into that thing. So in this case, finances. So if all that matters to you at this point in life is securing a bright future, then what you'll do is put all your time and energy into work, into building your business, building your brand. Nothing wrong with entrepreneurship. I know a lot of people don't like the 9 to 5 grind. I know a lot of people have a distaste for that. In fact, I do too. I think a lot of us can't do well with the 9 to 5 structure, and I get that. But what I'm saying is that when you allocate all your time and energy into your business, you start to neglect your other aspects of life: family, health, building communities, building relationships, all these other aspects of life which money cannot buy. And the worry I have is that if you over prioritize work, you become too caught up with money, and then by the time you've achieved what you wanted to achieve, you might have missed the boat. You might not be able to spend that quality time which you could have when you were younger with your family, with your friends, and even working out. And that is the worry I have for a lot of people who are too engrossed in hustling, is that they miss the boat. And when you get to that point in life, there's nothing you can do to rewind time. Money can't buy time. You can't pay to rewind your time, and that is the scary part. And so is the regrets then worth all the sacrifices you have made? Is all your achievements then worth the regrets? Does it outweigh the regrets? To most of y'all, the answer would be no. That's exactly my point. If your answer is no, then reallocate your time and effort, some of your time and effort, into developing relationships, into developing your health, into gymming, into exercise, into all these things, so that you won't regret not having cultivated these things when you're older. And I spoke about this in my previous video. Money can't buy you happiness. It can buy you things, sure, that bring you happiness, like cars, some of your greatest longings in terms of materialistic items. It can buy you those. But eventually, if you're a depressed person, you'll still be a depressed person. Those things are only perks to, give you some sort of excitement every now and then. The problem is if you keep chasing after that, you become numb to those things. I'm sure millionaires don't get excited over a new supercar. Like I mentioned in my previous video, you become numb to a lot of these things. Your baseline dopamine rises and you need more and more things to stimulate your mind to bring you just a little bit of happiness. And another worry I have about getting numb to things is that when you keep on working, you get engrossed to it. Your North Star becomes magnified. So when you keep on working, naturally you'll keep on going and going. So maybe 10 years down the road, you've met your goals in terms of your finances, but then you think that it's not enough. So you keep on going and going and going. And then that's even worse. You're not realizing that you might not have much time left with your family, with the people around you. That's the worry I have, is that you take things to the extreme and then there's no way to reverse time once you've gotten to that point in life. Sure, achieving financial security might not be ideal for people in today's society because, we always want more and more. But I think there's beauty in financial security. The beauty of cultivating contentment, of being at peace with whatever we have and not always looking for the next best thing. I think there's beauty to that, right? Of course, we should strive for more, meet our goals, but we should also be content with whatever we have. And that is not something that is talked about enough in today's society because we are living in such a fast-paced world. And another positive about having financial security and not financial abundance is that you have more time that you can reallocate and redistribute into other areas of your life, right? Because if you're forever hustling, like I said, you won't have enough time. There are only 24 hours in a day. You can't possibly hustle 24 hours a day and have leftover excess time to spend time with your families. I know some of you might not think that family and all these other aspects of life are important, but I can tell you that so is cars, so is materialistic items. They won't make you happy. So I think it's better if we reallocate some of our time into all these other areas of our life and at least try. Again, don't get a wrong idea. I'm not telling you not to chase after financial success. I'm not telling you to be lazy because in fact, I think hustle culture brings about good work ethic and teaches you discipline, but don't get too engrossed in that, too consumed in that, whereby you forget and neglect other aspects of life. Always have this in mind. Does all that you're accumulating outweigh the regrets you might potentially live with in the future? If your answer is no, then I think you should definitely reallocate some of your time in the present day into other aspects of life.